You see that pile of brush? Well, we want to burn that. We want to get rid of it. It's nothing but a mess, and we don't want it to dry out too much. It's best to get rid of it in the fall. The ground is very wet. We've had lots of rain. We've even had a little bit of snow. We got some branches behind us needs to be burned. But what a better night than to do it on Bonfire Night, Guy Fawkes Night. I don't know if you're familiar with it. If you're in Canada or in England and other parts of the former British colonies, you will be familiar with Guy Fawkes Night or Bonfire Night. But first, we need to get this fire going. I'm going to talk about our tradition on Bonfire Night and what Bonfire Night is really all about, how it came about. It's a bit unusual. So Guy Fawkes Night, we always called it Bonfire Night, even though in school we learn about Guy Fawkes and the basis behind this celebration. So it's basically a gunpowder plot, and it was led by different individuals. Now, Guy Fawkes wasn't the one that planned it. Robert Catesby was a jealous Roman Catholic enraged at King James I for refusing to grant greater religious tolerance to Catholics. They planned to destroy Parliament, and by using this gunpowder. And at that time, the House of Parliament was the Palace of Westminster. During the state opening of Parliament, they intended to get rid of the king and other members of Parliament in order to clear the way for re-establishing Catholic rule in England. But the plan failed. They actually rented a room directly under Parliament in the basement. They had something like over 30 barrels of gunpowder. They said it would have been enough to basically destroy a city block. And now they had this disguised with coal placed on top, with chunks of wood placed on top, because I guess at that time that's what they used for eating the buildings. Robert Catesby needed someone with some military background in order to carry out this pretty big plot. So he sent someone to the Netherlands, where they found Guy Fawkes. And Guy Fawkes went back to England, not knowing exactly what the plot was about, but he took part in it. Guy Fawkes guarded the barrels of gunpowder. Parliament was supposed to open, but it was delayed due to an outbreak of the plague. So about 10 days later, Parliament reopened. And for the day before, Guy Fawkes guarded those barrels, knowing that he was the one that was going to set off those barrels, and he may not get out with his life. But during this time, and because of that delay, one of the group members sent a letter to the king telling him what was going to happen. The king immediately sent out a search party to search all the rooms in the building, in Parliament. And that's where they found Guy Fawkes in the basement. But Guy Fawkes used a different name and convinced the guards that he was just there looking after the coal and firewood. They left. But when the king heard that this person was in the basement directly under Parliament, he ordered the guards to go back. And that's when they took Guy Fawkes into custody. Guy Fawkes, being a loyal soldier, refused to give up the names, but he was tortured for several days, and finally he gave up the names to everyone involved. So they don't really know exactly what happened to all the other members. Either they were taken out during capture, or they were actually their lives ended the same as Guy Fawkes. But Guy Fawkes actually died before they had a chance for the execution. He fell from a ladder and broke his neck. But the king was so infurious with what happened that he actually had him quartered across from Parliament so that everyone could see what would happen if you tried to overthrow the government. So Parliament declared November 5th a national day of Thanksgiving, and the first celebration of it took place in 1606. Today, Guy Fawkes Day is celebrated in the United Kingdom and in a number of other countries that were formerly part of the British Empire, like Canada, Australia, and others, with parades, fireworks, bonfires, and food. So for our celebrations that we had growing up, it was just a bonfire. We didn't have fireworks, but there was definitely food. And I guess when it comes to the food of us having baked beans, it's kind of a local tradition. Local foods is what they celebrate. So I guess that's where our baked beans came from for our bonfires. So when it came to our traditions on bonfire night, well, we didn't have any parades. We didn't do anything extraordinary on Guy Fawkes Day. But in the evening, we would have our bonfire. And I grew up in a town of about 150 to 175 people. It's not a town that my parents were from originally, but it's a town that I was born and raised in. So we didn't have a lot of relatives there, just mom's sister and her family. So small communities like this, there's large groups of families, relatives. So we didn't have a community bonfire because families would get together and have their own bonfire. So it was our family, my aunt's family, and my uncle's extended family. So we had a big group of people that would get together every November 5th for a massive bonfire. For some reason, we always had a wooden boat on bonfire night. All my uncle's brothers were into fishing, so they always had a boat that was basically condemned. So they would place that boat on our site that we used to have our bonfire. They would pile trees, evergreen trees, into the boat, and that would be what they would set on fire first. Then they had a big pile, a massive pile of trees to keep the fire going all evening. Now, one of my uncle's brothers had a J5, and that's like an off-road vehicle with tracks. It was pretty neat vehicle, and it's used for like getting wood, used for remote areas of bringing equipment into remote areas. So it was a pretty neat setup. So they would go in weeks before in the woods and cut trees, evergreen trees. And they had a trailer under J5 and they would bring it out and stockpile these trees. It was amazing. Massive fire. So off to the side they would have a small fire just for roasting marshmallows and wieners. And it was incredible. And where we had our bonfire, you look down across the hillside, down across town, and you can see bonfire after bonfire after bonfire. And because of the location of each one, you can tell which families own that bonfire. It was incredible. Same thing when you look across town and see the bonfires. It was amazing. It was an incredible sight on bonfire night, November 5th, to see all these bonfires and all these families getting together. I don't think there was either family that wasn't to a bonfire on November 5th. It was incredible. And then mom and other women would make baked beans, homemade baked beans, and they'd bring it to the fire. And if it was a nice evening, wasn't too cold, or if it wasn't raining, we would have our baked beans and fresh bread rolls right by the fire. And if it was raining or a little too cold, we go across the road to my uncle's mother's, and that's where we would eat our baked beans and our bread rolls. It was a tradition. We did this every year growing up. So we're going to be making some cowboy beans. They're not baked beans. I don't consider them baked beans because mother's is baked beans. So we're going to chop up some bacon. I really need a cutting board. There's still a lot of things that I need. This is not ideal at all. Not ideal at all. See what's happening there. So the fire has basically gone out. I'm gonna get some bacon, some wieners. It's gonna be very arty, very arty. So this goes along with the tradition of having baked beans at the bonfire. This was our tradition. So Mother ran out of frozen baked beans. I ran out of frozen baked beans that she made. I need a cutting board. Put that right over the flame. Let's get out our little spatula. So the thing with propane, it's going to cook fairly quick. Because I had as low as I can put it, I think. So this is going to cook up pretty quick. What else do I have to go in there? In the goodie bag, we got our fresh buns. We got our molasses. So let's line up things that has to go in there. The wet ingredients, let's call it. There we go. There we go. All these things we're putting in there. And of course some dry, onion. We got to get that on the go quick. We got to get that on the go quick. Don't tell me. Where would... Oh! I thought I took the can opener. But I said, wait and see. I'm going to forget it. It's not in the bag. It's not in the bag. Why would I forget it? How am I going to open that? I have nothing here to open it with. That knife ain't going to open it. Oh, did I have a second bag? I got nothing. Well now. Sometimes things do surprise me. And this do surprise me. We're only going with one can today, but that really surprised me that I got that working. So now we're going to add the beans, just canned beans. Stir everything up, mix everything together. Heaping, let's go with 1.5 tablespoons of brown sugar. Let's try that. Again, there is no right or wrong way. It's whatever you prefer. Let's turn this down. Ketchup, you know, just squeeze it in there. Garlic powder. I love garlic powder, so we're going to put quite a bit. Maybe a teaspoon. Onion powder, same thing. We got onions in there, but let's go with the onion powder. The good old molasses. The good old dark molasses. Let's pour that in there. Let's get a good tablespoon or more. I mean, a lot of these ingredients, especially molasses, are in beans anyway. But we're doing the cowboy style. This is the honey mustard. I could have went with the yellow mustard, but I wanted something special. We're going with a teaspoon, I guess. Why not? I'm not going to pronounce that. You know what I mean. Let's give half a teaspoon, maybe. Did I put that out? Yeah, I did. brought it down too low. Turn it off for a bit. And there we go. Let's stir everything together, mix everything together. Whoa, she likes to pour out water, don't she? My tea, my bread rose. Let's turn this off. Smells so good. There we go. That's all we got. We really need to upgrade to some more utensils. It's nice to be able to do some of the older traditions that I grew up with, and this is something that I missed, having a bonfire. And if you wanted to see the video of us bringing the camper to the property, because we're going to have lots more outings, go check out this video, and we'll see you in our next video.